Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dirty Civilian Podcast. Today, we have a special guest and a good friend of ours, Nic Kytlica. Nic has worked for Leupold for the past 17 years and currently holds the title of the Shooting Sports Marketing Manager. We talk about why that job is so unique and why it gives him a very good pulse on the firearms industry, specifically for the civilian side. Before we go too far, though, we have to thank our sponsor, Shooting Surplus. Shooting Surplus has an incredible amount of products if you guys are looking for any of the gear that we talk about in this podcast or maybe on our YouTube channel. So go ahead and hit the description for this video. Find the link for the website. You can even sign up for an email chain. If you do purchase anything that's not on sale, whether it's ammo, optics, or tools, you can use the discount code Dirty Civilian and save some money there. Now, without further ado, please welcome Nic Kytlica. Nic Kytlica, man, I have known of you for a long time. We've been, I don't know if I'd say friends. I know that we've kind of built that over the years, but yeah, we've been, in the Portland area for a while, and it's wild to be in Arkansas in an Airbnb with you after a while.
When's the last time we saw each other? It was probably like
a long time ago.
A long time ago. Be right before you moved, I think.
For sure.
I think the Core Vision guys came over to your house, and I think
my gosh.
Remember that? Yeah.
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, remember that.
That was a crazy night.
How do we meet? I don't even remember. I'm old. I forget things.
I was working at Oregon Rifle Works.
Oh,
and you wandered in.
Yes, that's right.
And it kind of went from there.
Yeah, that's right. You were just like behind the counter, slinging rifles.
Was he trying to sling you any locks hair wax?
So Drew did a deep dive. For backstory, Drew did a deep dive on my Instagram, and now unfortunately everyone else is going to do it as well.
Well, you got to do your research about people. You got to look back and see the things.
Yeah. 19-year-old Josh getting into the gun industry, taking every sponsor he could get.
That's
locks
terrible.
Hair wax, no shirt.
Yeah.
Slicking his hair over.
He was destined for success with that hair.
I know.
He's got some of the best hair in the industry.
He really does.
He really does.
I'm not kidding.
I mean, Drew's here somewhere, Bear Solutions, and don't tell him I said that because he has excellent hair.
Absolutely.
Have you seen his legs?
That's all I could look at today on the range. Yeah.
He was born with wool pants on.
That's true. Okay, so you've been in the industry for a while, and you've been dedicated, as far as I know, to Leupold for as long as I've known you. How long have you been professionally in the gun industry?
17 years at Leupold, just at Leupold. So that's my only experience in the gun industry. And like, people always ask me, they're like, hey, how do you get into the gun industry? I really want to get into the gun industry. I'm like, dumb luck. I don't know. Like, I grew up skating and snowboarding and playing in bands and stuff. And like, just shooting was not part of my family culture, right? In Southern California and stuff, it just wasn't part of it. And I graduated college, and I had I got a job right after college, a sales job, which I hated. I would skip out on work to go snowboard and do stupid stuff. I was a dumb young kid.
What'd you go to college for?
Business management.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I want to be.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I don't know how I ended up here either. So, but my roommate got a job at Leupold, just entry level in the warranty department, and I needed a job, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Sounds cool. And just kind of snowballed from there. I didn't know anything about guns. I don't think I shot a gun until I was like 22. And then once I started working at Leupold, I was like, oh, this is super cool. And I bought a Ruger 1022. I tore it all apart because I'm kind of mechanical. I want to see how it works, right? And bought custom parts for it and put it back together. And yeah, here we are 17 years later through all that. So, but dude. I mean, I don't know. I fit in really well with the industry. I even though I didn't grow up shooting or hunting and doing that stuff, I find a lot of camaraderie and a lot of similarities between people in the industry. So, But everyone thinks like, oh, you must have grown up hunting or shooting and doing something like that. I was like, nope. Played a bunch of sports, skated a bunch. But so I think that's what drew me to the tactical shooting side of the business. And competitive shooting too, because I'm super competitive, and I just like that physicality, of it. Yeah.
So it's really weird because whenever I think of you, like, of course, I know you're
how often do you think of me?
Actually, way more than I'm willing to admit on a podcast. So we'll just edit that out. But more than you'd think. So. You just threw me completely off of that because it made me really think about how often I think of you.
Whenever
She's
you
like,
think
actually, let me think about that.
Yeah. I think actually I do think about you semi regularly because I'm really happy for like you and your fiance.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, it was a really cool match, and I think about that often. But anyways,
nice.
Okay, so whenever I think of you, I think of like you're very much a professional. Like you conduct yourself in a professional manner.
I appreciate that.
I know enough about you. Granted, I don't work directly with you, but I know enough about you to know that you are you get things done. You execute. So how did you go from a boarder, like from a some skateboarder, like skipping class all the time, to being fully invested and like being a playmaker within the industry?
Well, I think even in my younger days, like skating and doing that kind of stuff, I had a nickname. They used to call me like Dad and like Grandpa, like in my older skating days, because I was the more responsible one out of the bunch, definitely. I'd be like, oh, you guys haven't drank enough water, or like, we should probably go eat, since doing the dad stuff. So I've kind of always been that way. I don't know. I'm just, I like to, like an event like this, like we're at right now. So, I love planning like the logistics and like thinking about everything and then pulling it together and then seeing it come to life. It stresses the crap out of me. Like I'm not a super stressed person, but like the week leading up to it, I get like anxiety. I'm like, oh, what if we don't have enough food? And what if the lodging isn't good?
It's always
like,
the little things.
It's
the
always
food, the water. The coolers for the water, the ice for the coolers.
Right.
It's like, who's going to take care of all that?
Yeah, you think like cool range day, and then there's all this other logistic stuff that has to go into it, right? And I can't do it by myself. I've got Brad here, one of my coworkers, who's helping me a ton, and you guys, everyone here has helped out a bunch. So, but yeah, I know I appreciate that. I don't know, being a professional in this industry it's like a fine line sometimes because it is really fun. Like we get to go do fun stuff and get to be on the range and goof off and, jokes all the time. But there's time and place for that and time and place to be professional. I think I do have a good balance of like walking both of those, which is important to have, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and in those 17 years, I'm sure that you've had seasons where you're like, man, this is hard to get through. And I'm not doing so much of the fun stuff that I was used to doing. And then, seasons come back and you're like, okay, this is really, really fun. How do you get through? Because I know a lot of people in the firearms industry, myself included, who hit that season where they're like, yeah, man, this is work again. How do you kind of push through that and get to the other side? Because the other thing to add on top of that is I've seen a lot of people who will get really burnt out at some company and jump ship. And they're like, yeah, I've been in the firearms industry for 20 years and they've worked at 10 companies.
Right.
And you kind of, as opposed to you who like, man, as long as I've known you, you have been consistent and reliable and you've held fast to the same company, which it also speaks to like, when you say you believe in the brand, when you say you believe in a set of optics, okay, you've proven that with your lifestyle and where you've stuck through as well. So how have you managed that over a time period?
Yeah, I don't think I could go work for another optics company, honestly. Like it just wouldn't feel genuine. I don't care if they offered me enough money, I just wouldn't, I couldn't do it because I do believe in the brand so much. Talking about, pushing through those like tougher times and stuff, because it's not all fun stuff. Instagram and stuff, you see us on the range, like having fun, which is awesome in our matches and stuff. But there's a lot of like, budgeting and spreadsheets and emails and proper email etiquette and all the business stuff that you would expect to go with it. To be successful, you have to do that stuff. That's the non-sexy stuff and the stuff that you might have to do at 10 o'clock at night. You're like, I gotta send this email, stuff. But at the end of the day, like you got to pinch yourself and you're like, oh, I work in the firearms and like I work in what I think what separates it for me is it's a passion-driven industry. And that's what really motivates me is our end user is buying the product because they are super into it and they're really passionate about it. It's not a table, it's not a microwave, you don't go to the store and you're like, I gotta buy this thing. I don't really care about it. Like, do you have any affinity to Frigidaire, right? No. Yeah, but you're right. But the rifle you have, right? You're like that company, like, oh, kind of tied to that company, you know, because you're passionate about it and it's the thing that you're thinking about all the time. So we get to you get to participate in that with the consumer along in that journey, which is super cool. So yeah, it is a grind sometimes, but it is, you know, it could be way worse. I could be selling insurance somewhere. I might be making more money doing that, but you know, this is way better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So to define what it is that you do, you are not in charge of like hunting optics. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So I didn't say. So I'm the shooting sports marketing manager. So
Okay.
Previously in the marketing department, we used to have it designated as trade marketing and consumer marketing. So marketing to the trades, to other, you know, distributors or retailers and stuff, and then to consumers. So, but we kind of mixed it up, and now it's me, so shooting sports marketing manager and a hunting marketing manager. So splitting the shooting and the hunting, because they are two totally separate things. Obviously, we're using some of the same similar gear, but how you engage with those consumers and talk to those consumers is two different things, right?
Absolutely.
And just to be an SME, right, in those aspects, right? So Kaylee, who does the hunting side, she's a hunting expert, and I try to be a shooting expert as much as I can be. So, yeah.
Well, so then would you also have a group of people inside of that company that's in charge of government contracts? That's a whole different world.
Whole different world.
So you are, to be fair, solely responsible. I mean, not solely responsible, but your job is to market and try to reach the consumer or the retailers that are then reaching the consumers.
Yeah.
For people who are looking for shooting sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That takes us to a very interesting stage, because you are filling a role in the firearms industry for the everyday civilian, where you are actively trying to reach those people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
On top of that, Leupold does a phenomenal job at manufacturing precision optics at distance. Why is that important for the everyday civilian? Because a lot of people could probably answer that with their own opinions. But you, someone who is trying, in your own words, it doesn't have to be like the way that Leupold says it, but in your own opinions,
Yeah.
how do you go to someone who's an 18-year-old and they're like, man, I'm not sure if I want to go buy a bolt gun or an AR-15 or a Glock 19 or whatever else, but I'm really interested in long distance.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can justify shooting at distance.
Right.
Do you personally see a value for a civilian in doing anything beyond 300, 400, 500 yards?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you never know what scenario might come up where you have to use those skills. But I think shooting just in general, fine-tuning your skills, be it pistol, carbine, long range, being a well-rounded shooter is important, and that includes long range. And by shooting long range, I think I have a better understanding of shooting carbines, especially carbines, maybe not so much pistol, but there's a lot of transferable skills in between all those, right? Trigger press being smooth, sight alignment, that kind of stuff. So I think there's absolutely a reason for the everyday civilian shooter to engage long range targets. Yeah. Plus, it's fun. Like, you think about what you're doing. You're taking this little projectile and you're slinging it 1,000 yards and hitting, little targets like that. Like, that's pretty amazing when you break it down and like what's actually happening, right?
It is.
Yeah. So, it's appreciation for the optic, the gun, the whole system, together, how it functions, all the little variables that happen in the environment, right? And all the variables, you're the biggest variable, right? Yeah. So a lot of that stuff. Yeah. I love the long range stuff. I don't geek out as much as some people do. Like I don't reload.
Oh gosh, I could never do that.
Yeah, it's just not. It's funny. It's just not my personality. Like I appreciate it, and then some guys find it like very therapeutic. Right? They're in their shop, they're in their gun room, and they're just like cranking away, making rounds. And but when they start talking about it, I just kind of glaze over. I'm just like, I'm not interested in it. But yeah, I love the challenge of the long range game and just shooting in general. I think it's super challenging. Like today, I hadn't shot a pistol for a while, and that was very apparent when I started shooting. I was like, God, I got to get back to this and like practice this. So, I think just with anything like in life, like shooting is you want to be improving, and you want to be improving yourself. And it's like, I don't have to be the best shooter. I'm never going to be the best shooter, but as long as my skills are improving, that's what's important to me. So yeah,
It's really interesting that because I grew up a hunter. Did you?
Not at all. No.
I grew up hunting and then got into the, the sports side of it, which I assume when you say like the shooting sports, you're talking about competition and tactical, right? Those two, competition, prepared citizen, tactical, all that stuff.
correct.
So I went from hunting to the tactical side and got, knee deep into that world and looked back at the hunting stuff and was like, lame. And now that I'm a little bit older, I look at just looking at the way of the world.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm just like, I look back at hunting and I'm like, oh, it's not so crazy
Not so crazy, right?
that
That's it.
that the hunting actually becomes necessary for the tactical. Does that make sense?
No,
These worlds ultimately collide. And I think over the next couple of years, or at least in my kid's life, people are going to figure that out. So
yeah, it's a valuable skill to have, to be able to hunt. And let's like, hunting is not shooting and shooting is not hunting. Like there's like, I'm pretty proficient shooter, long range shooter. I can go hit a deer at 400, 500 yards, no problem. But I'm not a hunter. I don't know how to hunt. Like, I don't know how to track animals and do all that stuff. Like it's almost like the, you think about like sniper craft or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot not about shooting. It's all the other stuff. And hunting's similar. So, but yeah, same. I've hunted before. I don't consider myself a hunter, but I think about it too. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to get more into that, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny, we talk about it at work sometimes. It's like the barrier to entry on hunting. So you grew up hunting. You didn't grow up hunting, right? How do you learn how to hunt?
Oh, man, I guess I have to go find someone who has.
Usually if you're just in your family, like
yeah.
your dad shows you, or you got an uncle or something like that. But if you're just like, and if you're not buddies with someone who hunts, generally some people don't want to show you necessarily because, they don't want you. That's my honey hole. I don't want to show you, where those are. But on the shooting side, it's the complete opposite. I think, like, for you, like if someone who comes up to you and is like, man, I've never shot like a pistol or a gun before, you're like, let's go to the range right now.
Yes.
And we're going to have fun. I'm going to show you how to do it. So, so the barrier to entry on the shooting side, I think, is less than the hunting side.
That's a really good point. I never even thought of that. And also, it's not like someone's going to the theaters to watch a hunting movie, right? They're going to the theaters. They're watching action movies.
There was hunting in Bambi, I think.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
there's
the
that.
start.
Yeah. They're watching, they're watching action movies. They're watching, Terminal List.
Yeah.
They're playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's a segue into the tactical side of it.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's no segue outside of family or like, intentional friends, or if you grow up in like a small town where everyone hunts.
Yeah.
I never thought about that dynamic. That's
think
really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is getting easier on the hunting just because social media, YouTube, there's more resources out there. Onyx and Go Hunt and places like that do a good job of that. But it's still, I think, a larger barrier to entry than shooting. Again, people are just really excited. I'm always excited to take people new. Like, I could go take a new shooter to the range and not shoot one round myself and have an awesome time watching them like
Sometimes
smile.
the best is taking someone new and just watching them go from I'm scared of the gun,
Intimidated,
I'm unsure, to leaving with a smile.
Yeah. I was like, oh, guns aren't scary.
Right.
This is really fun.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, and I think we won't go down the rabbit hole necessarily, but I mean the education part's super important, and they're cutting out the gun and safety and even hunters education and stuff like that for young kids. They need to learn that stuff because it teaches them about guns and teaches them how fun it is and actually all the useful tools. So
right, yeah. Have you always been an outdoors kind of guy? Because you have like, worked on trucks and gone camping and always wanted to I'm going to drive to the coast and have a fire. And you seem to always kind of want to be outside again, whether it's hunting, shooting, or being outside. And then obviously like skateboarding, snowboarding. Has that just been natural for you? Or was there someone in your family that instilled in like, hey, let's go do something outside?
No one in my family. Both my parents are not outdoors people. That's for sure. I remember going on like one hike with my mom when I was a kid, and I think that was about it. So the skating and stuff, we were outside, but I don't know when that really. I think probably in my late teens, I would just start. I'd just go for hikes by myself and stuff. And I think, as granola-y as it sounds, I do really enjoy just being in nature, and I think that's my recharge time. I think I'm more on the extroverted side than the introverted side. And introverts have to recharge a lot, but I have to recharge too. And it's like, it's cool hanging out with all you guys like this week, but I'm going to go back this weekend and probably not talk to many people. Maybe just chill in the woods a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one really taught me how to do that stuff. No one taught me how to work on cars. I had to watch YouTube videos, to work on trucks and stuff. And no one taught me about like camping or hiking or any of that kind of stuff. I just kind of had to figure it out on my own. I have a lot of stuff where I just figured it out on my own. I've kind of built a career around just looking dumb and just trying to figure it out. So I'm fully comfortable looking dumb. Yeah. I've done it many, many times. So yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I think I think that's, something I try and instill in my kids too. I'm like, don't be afraid of looking dumb. Like everyone looks dumb, and that's how you learn things.
Yeah. Just own it, lean into it.
Just own it. Just lean into it. You're like, I look super dumb right now and I don't know what I'm doing, but this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So just lean into it.
Takes the air out of the stress.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
lean into it some.
Yeah, we can't look cool all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you guys do a pretty good job, but it's,
Well,
it
I
can't be
think
all the time.
A part of that is us as well being willing to lean into the fact that, yeah, man, we don't know everything that we're talking about. We have to go to the professionals. And it's the same idea. As soon as you just kind of recognize, like, oh, I don't know everything.
And sometimes we do. Sometimes we do know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and we know what the person is talking about, and we play the role of student to break down that barrier so other people feel more comfortable and can, feel like they're a part of that learning process with us. But for the most part, yeah, we're making fun of ourselves. Like, humor is the greatest barrier
so
breaker.
good.
So
I mean, right here, right? We were talking about
Chow.
king picks, and like I just love it because like sometimes in this industry, in this category especially, everything is very serious, right?
Oh, it's so try hard, and it's all about image crafting.
Yes.
And,
And you just gotta laugh sometimes, right? You just gotta sit back and laugh. And I love laughing at myself. I love laughing at things like that. I think that's super important. We can't take ourselves too seriously.
No.
I agree.
No.
Yeah, the industry is too full of people who everyone wants to be the biggest alpha in the room. And you may be the biggest alpha in the room, but man, as soon as you have to state it to everyone else, it kind of takes the sails out of the situation. And now suddenly everyone's aware of like, yeah, I mean, if you have to inform me, then you may not be. And that's okay. Everyone's got some growing up to do. I certainly did as well. I had some seasons of like, okay, you got to humble up here a little bit and get past that. And some of that also comes with social media trends, which has been very tiring. I'm sure you've seen Instagram, YouTube trends come and go.
There's
but
a lot of pressure to, acquiesce to those trends and stuff.
Yeah, how do you do that? Because being in an industry for 17 years, you've seen so many things come and go and come back again. It's just like fashion. Like, how do you stay on top of all that?
Yeah, well, it's hard to stay on top of it, and I as much as I do try to be up to date and current with everything, I can't be. You literally can't be. So, and I don't want to be on my phone all the time looking. But, I think from a brand standpoint, we don't try to engage with any of those trends or anything like that. That's always flash in the pan stuff, and like, especially Leupold, we've been around a long time. It's about the long game, and it really comes down to the performance of the products and the brand voice and stuff like that. So we're not going to be doing any weird TikTok dances or anything like
Thank
that.
God.
So, yeah. Well, I wasn't. I won't go down the TikTok.
You say that
I won't go
now.
down the TikTok rabbit hole, but yeah, you say that now. Yeah. Well, I do not control the social media. That is my teammates there, but I can pretty much safely say we probably won't be doing it.
that's good.
Well, there's like, it's funny from a brand standpoint. I'm not gonna pick on any other brands by name, but there's the ones that do like kind of sketch, goofy stuff here and there, and that's just not us. So
It's not Leupold.
We are. This is how I tell people how it breaks down. We are not allowed to be funny, but we're allowed to have fun. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like you trying to be funny, it just kind of feels disingenuous sometimes. But like having fun, that's a completely genuine experience.
Of
So,
course.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
the feeling that I have about Leupold and that I have had for years is that I always come back to when people grow up enough, they're going to go to companies like that.
Yeah.
And it may take 5 years, it may take 7 years, it may take 10 or 15, but as soon as someone realizes, and it may not be an optics company, it may be whoever they're personally being associated with or the apparel that they're wearing.
Yeah.
As soon as you mature enough, I mean, you're going to kind of ground yourself into like, I don't always need to be a goofball. Maybe I should cut my hair and grow up a little bit, you
Yeah,
know? And
yeah.
so inside of that firearms industry, what, Drew's over here laughing.
Talking about me?
No, no.
I'm feeling
I
really
used to have long hair,
I
but I
know,
am
I
still a goofball. So
Well, no, but you at least still have a professional side. And there's plenty of companies out there that, man, they almost never show their professional side, which, you know, is a bummer. But
right. Yeah. No, you gotta. I think you got to keep that professional. It just from a marketing standpoint too. It just makes it easier when it's about the performance of the product and stuff like that. It just makes it easy. And then we just partner with people who have that same kind of mindset and stuff like that. So which makes it easy.
we as people, we have character. We have a character, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like we have a personality. That's the personality of like companies have personalities too.
100%.
And if Josh were to start acting radically different one day, I'd be like, "Whoa, dude! Like, what's up? I still love you.
Yeah.
Like, you're still my friend, but is there something going on?"
Yeah.
And the same happens whenever companies start acting outside of what they say is their mission or their vision.
It's not on brand, right? That's
Exactly.
what we say.
Yeah. I actually think it goes beyond brand, like because you can be off brand with like how you style or how you color grade something and stuff like that.
Right.
But like they start acting like it's outside of their character and it's confusing. And you may be able to keep some customers that are loyal for a little bit of time, but when it's like consistent, like if you guys were to do a TikTok, one thing, it would be damaging. But if you were to do that over the long haul, man, you're done. Like
and two being like being I'll call it a legacy company, right? We've been around.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
That's the proper term to say. We've been around for 117 years, right? So we've been around for a long time. There's things you can't do and things you can do, and you can't go too far off the rails. But it is that fine line about how you still engage the younger demographic, though, and be relevant to them. And I think we get viewed sometimes as your granddad's, scope and product and stuff like that. And you can't alienate that base because they're a part of your consumer too. But how do you still be relevant to the younger generations and make it look cool? And I think if you look back at our marketing, probably 3 or 4 years ago, you probably see a turn. That's when we got rid of our marketing agency and brought everything internal. So now we have people, actual Leupold employees who are working every day, live in the brand. They know the voice of the brand, and they know the content and the products they want to put out. And I think that plays into where we are right now. And I'll be completely honest with you. When did I start Leupold? 2006, right? And again, I grew up skating and doing all that stuff, which was always kind of at the forefront of, I would say, like fashion and stuff like that. I always say, like, I saw the Leupold stuff. I'm like, I am never going to wear that. Like that hat, not going to wear that. These shirts, like big boxy shirts and stuff. And now, like, even like your wearables, right? You look at our stuff now and I'm like, I think we got some of the best like soft good stuff out there, hats and shirts and like the eyewear and stuff like that. And it feels young and fresh, and that's one way to do that. So
that's a good point.
It can be hard to do. I'm sure
it can be. It's a fine line.
Could you find old 80s and 90s?
Oh, dude, I have gear? Some. I have. There was this one hat. It's funny. Who I can see wearing that hat in my mind is Charlie. like, yeah, dude, with the glasses and
Yes.
stuff, because it's like
Is
it's like a corduroy hat with the big like
Please
thing.
tell me
with,
it has a
like,
spinner on the
rope.
top.
No, it has the rope. Though,
Oh,
the
yeah.
rope thing.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
there was some of that going around. Yeah, so
It's funny how that stuff comes full circle, though. And
is.
now, if you were to see that, you'd be like, "That's a Leupold hat. I have to have it."
Yeah, you're actually likely to see someone wearing that. In
that's true.
Portland.
It's so bad, it's good. That's actually a thing. Yeah.
Did you have a hard time shifting from like skater mentality to the firearms world without ever being in that gun industry, or were you at first like, it's just a warranty job, and then you figured out?
Yeah. So like when I started, I didn't get, I worked in what I call the dungeon. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. So I was down there, I was in the industry, but I wasn't in the industry, right? I didn't really know what Leupold meant outwardly. And then I got hired into the sales department, and I got to kind of like expand and go out and see what that kind of is. So, yeah. So, I kind of forgot what you asked right there.
Just like,
We've been on the range all day, and my brain just
my gosh,
went
everyone's
like,
like super dehydrated, sun zapped. I was curious, was it hard to make a transition from like?
Oh yeah,
the
hard to
skater
transition to
world?
make.
But you probably
yeah,
didn't have an immediate
No.
like.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking about though is like I used to like kind of be ashamed of it, like especially when I got in the sales side, because I was in. You go and engage with people, and they're like talking about their hunting stories and stuff. I'm like, I don't have any of this.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Like, it's just like
You were like, I was hunting down this sick deck one day, dude.
yeah, I hunted down this like 18 stair rail. It was so cool. Yeah.
It was gas, dude.
Don't believe I ever said that, but
Thank goodness.
Whatever the
Goodness.
equivalent of, like,
circa,
Yeah.
whatever that was. Yeah,
Yeah.
2004. Yeah, whatever the cool lingo
Sick.
was. Sick.
Yeah.
I still say that. I
Yeah.
say rad and sick and
It was
stoked way
sick.
too much.
Yeah.
That's my West Coaster in me. I can't get rid of it. So, but yeah, I was kind of almost ashamed of like I didn't have those stories. I didn't feel like I fit in. And then I got into more of the shooting side, and it's so funny. Like a lot of the guys, especially engaging with more of the like SF and the military guys, like grew up kind of how I did. Like when I met Garrett from Cogworks, right? We skated with the same people. We never skated together, but like we knew the same people. I was like, holy crap,
wild.
dude!
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and a lot of those guys, because I think that mindset is kind of like that adrenaline driven mindset, and then if they go into the military, they're kind of like wired for that. No, a lot of similarities I found with the people in the firearms industry like that. So yeah, I don't feel ashamed anymore. I'm wide open about it. I had no shooting or hunting experience when I first started. So yeah, before I would just kind of stay quiet and was like not talk. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Clearly
Like,
come a long way though.
yeah, people be like, "Oh, what kind of hunts are you going on?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. I don't know.
Bunch of steel.
A bunch of steel." Yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a long journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, I got to pinch myself sometimes that I'm like here doing this stuff, and this is work, like hanging out with you guys and doing stuff. So
Well, it's funny, we're doing the same thing. We're pinching
Yeah.
ourselves that we're like,
Right.
we have Nic Kytlica on a podcast.
oh geez, I'm not that.
No, but really, events like this, I feel like often we forget how important it is to kind of have I guess for lack of a better term, a community building. Like, hey man, let's just go have a range day. Because it's so easy for us to fly out to a different state and be like, we're going to go meet with this one person. And that's great, but you missed the 2 or 3 other people that you would have loved to see while you were there. And then someone else comes to your state and you don't get to see them, as opposed to scheduling, a couple months out in advance. Guys, let's all get together.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing and let's just spend some time together.
I think it's super important. And, for everyone listening who, obviously wasn't here, the idea of this week was just to get a bunch of friends together and shoot. And that's kind of what we used to do. That's how we met, right?
Yeah.
Drew, right?
Yeah.
It was just a range day. And we just showed up and started shooting. It was like, oh, this is so much fun, right? And then you came to the next one that we had. No, we were trying to think this morning. I think it was like 6 years ago, right? It was the last time we got together and all did this. And then like earlier this year, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, why are we not doing this again? And like, again, building that community and bringing people together. And like I said this morning, like all of us go shoot pretty regularly, but it could be, for DC, it could be like, we have this set of shots that we need to get and this content that we need to plan, right? And it's not just shooting and hanging out. Or for like Bear Solutions for Drew, like it's on the range instructing. I got students, I got to be paying really close attention. I don't really get to shoot much because I got to instruct, right?
Yeah.
So how to bring all these people together and other industry people together and go on the range and remember why we like shooting, right?
Yeah.
Why we like hanging out together and having a good time. And I think that's super important. Yes, obviously we're going to create content around it. We're doing a podcast right now. We're going to take photos and videos, and but the main part of it is to have fun, right? Is just to have fun and meet new people. Like you guys have invited new people that I've never met before. Nick's over here behind the board, lots of cool people that I got to meet for the first time too, which is good. And expanding the community, right?
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, like I think before we were recording, you're like, how did you get all these people together who,
They're a bunch
cool,
of good dudes
Who aren't jerks.
yeah, who aren't jerks,
Like, yeah.
yeah. And I think that's just, I don't know, I've always thought of myself as a pretty good judge of character. So I just tie my horse to those people, and then I trust their character judging abilities, and we just expand from there. So, yeah.
What's kind of wild is we're the first phase of the social media side of the firearms industry, but it's not going to be too long before we're the old breed.
I'm excited about that, dude. I can't wait to see who comes up next.
Me too.
Like, I can't wait to see who we can help.
Me too. And
So,
that
I can stop.
No, yeah, agreed. But that like phases like this, like communities like this, man, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are listening to podcasts like this, or maybe even this one, that are like, well, man, I didn't get invited. I guess I didn't make it. When in reality, dude, I was out shooting with a bunch of other friends, barbecuing on the range, having a fire afterwards. Man, it's snowing. Let's go shoot. Maybe we film a little bit, but let's go hang out and get some content. And it just kind of builds and builds and snowballs from there.
Yeah.
Drew was doing the same thing in Kentucky, and then it kind of grew from there. And the next thing you know, it's like, well, I'm friends with those guys, and he's friends with those guys. Let's all get together. And we may not know it right now, or maybe we could name some of those people, but there are 18, 16, 17, 21-year-olds that are out there doing it right now. And it could be a year from now, it could be 6 years from now, but it's like, okay, for the next one, we need that guy out at the range day. It just makes me stoked to think that like we have all connected through social media, but because of that power of the internet, man, this is just going to keep continuing to grow.
Yeah, no, some people, be like, oh, Instagram, oh, the internet, and they're like, so like glass is half empty about it. I'm like, man, I've had so many opportunities come about that would have never come to me without, social media. And it's just what you make of it, right?
Yep,
and
it's a tool.
Yeah, the tool, right? And the importance, of growing your community. Yeah, you didn't get to come to this range day, but you have a range day with your buds, right? Like you're talking about, you're giving me goosebumps thinking about like those range days up at Pitts, right? Up in the forest that we used to go to, like just cooking out and doing that kind of stuff. And or go to, more and more range days are popping up. Those like Average Joe's range days and stuff, and Texas one, and like don't be intimidated. Go like hang out and like meet people and talk. Like it's so much fun, and everyone's there kind of for the same reasons, right? And it's to have fun, but like today, it's also to get better and train and like work on our skills and push each other, right? Just shooting with shot timers and running courses of fire. And like Derek today, I was getting so pissed, trying to beat his number, right? But I love to see that like intensity and that drive, that competitiveness. But it's like it's that competitiveness, but without like, sometimes at matches and stuff, people are super competitive and it's like overt and they won't talk to anyone, but it's like the competitive, and then you get offline, and then you're just like, hanging out, and you're like, oh yeah, and your buds are giving you a little bit of crap and stuff, but that's good motivation, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It's without the ego.
Yeah, without the ego. That's right. Yeah, and it's funny again. Like we have like 20 dudes here or something like that. I don't think anyone here has an ego on them.
Yeah,
like
it's wild.
Range, right? Yeah,
It's actually
Anything's Nick.
Oh my gosh, Nick Jones over
He's
here.
the worst.
We've got to get a Specialist Jones camera that's always running. There, GoPro up in the corner that always sees Nick.
We do.
So
He's the gentlest soul over here. Love that guy.
Oh,
yeah, no, it is pretty wild to have a community of guys that like, man, no one's really like, everyone's just ripping each other in fun, and no one's got that ego. And But then, of course, we still have that competitive side. We go to the range, and yeah, like you said, man, everyone's still trying to beat each other's time. And I have shot alone so much lately, which is very therapeutic for me. But there's no one to compete with other than a shot timer and myself, which is great.
Yeah.
But I come out here and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, now I have to work on these things. And he's really good at that.
Yeah.
I want to get good at that.
See, there's the connection I just thought about, because you asked me about like skating and like how that played in. Like, I feel like these for me are my like skate sessions I used to have with my homies back in the day, right? Because like you'd stand there and you'd watch someone for 20 minutes kill themselves trying to land this trick. And it's kind of that same thing. Like we're trying to push ourselves like so hard. And then when someone like, we were shooting a course of fire today, and I think someone did it under 10 seconds. It was a pretty hard course of fire. And everyone's like, yeah, like,
It
you
can
know,
be
stoked
done.
for them, you know? Exactly. Yeah. It's that energy, right? So I think, yeah, that's probably why I like range days like this so much, you know, that energy and camaraderie. So yeah, you're right. Though shooting by yourself is important, but you know, I think you don't get better unless you're around people who are better than you. And that's with anything in life, you know, how you learn something. So
That's so true. And it's so easy to surround yourself with people. I mean, it sounds bad, but people that maybe I'm a better shooter than them. And boy, do I feel good going to the range with that guy.
oh yeah, no,
know, it's so easy to
it's an
do.
ego boost, right?
It
You're
is,
like, oh,
yeah.
I'm really good.
Yeah, but man, he's pulling you down too, and you're getting lazy, and you're not getting any better. And yeah, you got to surround yourself with. And of course, on the other side, you should be going to the range with people that you can help and bless, and try to give them a word of advice, maybe from time to time, and
100%.
teach new people. But yeah, you have to step out and keep
Yeah.
pushing your own limits.
That's why I really have like grown into the competition side of shooting, and especially long range competition stuff. And it's motivation. It just reminds me that I got a lot to learn and to work on, and it's very humbling to be able to go out and like shoot against some of the best people in the world and be like, okay, I'm not. Yeah, you're right. You can show up to a random range and people be like, "Oh, he's really good," and then you go out there with other people and you're like, oh, "Okay, I'm not that good." Yeah, there's always someone better. So yeah.
Well, and then range days like today, you know, you catch the bug for something new, and you
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
have fully built out 18-inch rifle that's rip roaring ready to go, and it's like, yeah, but you know, I'm not really good at that. I haven't done it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come out and I'm exposed to other people that are more than okay. They're really, really good at shooting beyond 100 yards, which to me is distance.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and so all of a sudden you catch the bug and you're looking for the next best thing, which is, I mean, that's part of the whole thing, is just trying to boost each other up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think we were excited. Like I was excited. Brad, my other coworker, he's a long range PRS guy. Adrian, who's a long range kind of instructor. We were super excited to get you guys out here and get you kind of get you behind some guns and shoot some long range stuff, because and again, it's just like being a well-rounded shooter, being whatever rifle's in front of me, whatever gun's in front of me, I can pick it up and run it confidently, right? Yeah. And rounding out that skill set. So we were stoked to have you guys experience some of that stuff, and tomorrow we're gonna experience even more of it, right? So
Good. I know tomorrow all I want to do is shoot distance.
we're gonna do a lot of distance stuff
Good.
tomorrow.
That's kind of all I want to do now.
Yeah. Again, it's just kind of magical. Like, man, when you make something move that's like 800 yards away, when you see the little plate rock, you're just like, oh yeah, it's so fulfilling. Yeah. It feels good. It's kind of like a drug. It's a little addictive. So yeah.
Well, I've been having a blast.
Me too. We still have man, we should probably get to bed because, you know, we've had a lot of sun. I know everyone's
Oh, I'm gonna
exhausted.
chug like 4 bottles of water immediately
Pass
after this.
out.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, we got
Did
to
you
fold
bring
it
an
tomorrow.
IV?
You guys are lying, by the way, right now.
What?
Because you're like, oh, I'm gonna stay up. I got to edit. I got a bunch of work to do.
Oh, I
You're
do
gonna-
have to stay up and edit tonight just because I have to get this cut done before Friday and trying to upload it from here. But
Yeah, you got your
I am-
guys' and kudos to you guys. You guys' work ethic behind all this thing has been very impressive. So I'm impressed from an industry standpoint of what you guys are doing. So good job. Just want to say
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. It's
Thanks.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's fun. It's you learn a lot, but it's funny, right? Like, there's some funny stuff. It's finding that mix is really hard to do. It's a balance that's really difficult, and you guys are nailing it. So yeah.
Well, humor is it is the universal language.
Yeah, 100%.
And people want to. There's a lot of people that think that humor is unprofessional, and in the right, and there's certain circumstances,
Time and a place.
it absolutely is.
Time and a place.
But man, it can really break down walls. And when you're talking about, a lot of people expect their audience to come to them, but in my opinion, you've got to meet your audience where they're at. And if you can meet them in their living room while they're watching something on YouTube, and you can make them laugh or you can make them smile, you've set the hook to speak some sort of truth into their life or point them to someone else. And yeah, so that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
There's no magic.
No,
It's just,
well, all you guys are doing is being yourselves. Like, because I've known you guys for years, and I watched the videos. I'm like, that's totally Drew. That's totally Josh. I was like, they're just putting it on camera now. Like, watch. So, yeah, that's how people connect with people, right? It's like you see the actual like person. It's not a persona. You didn't flip a switch and be like, hey, I'm Drew Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like,
we should switch personalities for a day.
I don't know if I can play
Or
you.
for a video.
I'd love to try though.
Oh man, that would be hilarious.
I have to grow a beard. I should start now.
Yeah.
I don't think we have years to film this video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and we also have to give kudos to Nick Jones. I mean, that guy's been working for us before we were paying him.
Yeah.
And he's been making.
He works
Specialist
8 days
Jones.
a week. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He's our Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. All right. Well, should we go get some water and get back to work?
Yeah, I think we have work to do. Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
Cool.
Well, Nick, thanks for being here and putting this whole thing on and for joining the podcast.
You're very welcome. Appreciate you guys.
All right, you too.
Oh, and thanks Tom for helping with the cameras. And the lights.
Hey, did you check the battery level? What level is it at?
Good.
We're
Glad to hear
good.
it.
We're good.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Yeah.